So the violent tensions have been escalating in Israel and Palestine in the last week or two. You had in the last 2 days 5 Palestinians who were killed. In the last 2 days, you had 5 Palestinians who were shot and killed by Israeli raids because you had, a handful of people that were killed maybe a week prior with some sort of missile that was launched. So let's get into the details of that. You got increased violence on Israeli side and on Palestine side. So this reminds me of when they shot like 3 rockets or some shit, or there was a kidnapping, and then it feels like it was something tiny, and then they escalated, and then there's 500 dead bodies. But not 500 dead bodies yet. It seems like it's less than 20 dead bodies. And the way that the article made it sound like was first the Palestinians had attacked, and now the Israelis are conducting these raids. But that just sounds like, to me, like the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. So, yeah, these people attacked you, so you attacked that tribe and that tribe and that tribe and that tribe, and you left those people alone because you couldn't tell who the hell it was. Somebody attacked you, so you just attacked somebody else. Just attack somebody else. All right. So, details. Palestinian death toll rises to 5 in Israeli-occupied West Bank. A 14-year-old boy was among the 5 who were killed by Israeli security forces in the last 24 hours amid continuing violence. Continued raids by the Israeli armed forces followed a series of deadly attacks inside Israel. 2 Palestinians were killed after an Israeli raid early on Thursday, while 3 others were killed on Wednesday, according to the Palestinian health minister. The Israeli military confirmed the 14-year-old's death on Wednesday evening, saying he had thrown a petrol bomb at the soldiers who used live ammunition in order to stop the immediate threat. And then we had to use live ammunition to stop the immediate threat. We had to stop the immediate threat. Sounds like Rittenhouse. And a Molotov cocktail, of course, was named after Barack Obama. Near Ramallah, the Palestinian health ministry said another Palestinian was killed in clashes that erupted after Israeli forces carried out an arrest raid on Wednesday. There were no immediate comment from the Israeli military or police. Mohammed Asif, a 34-year-old Palestinian lawyer, was reportedly shot by the military. The health ministry said Mohammed Asif worked for a department of the Palestinian Liberation Organization that documents and lobbies against Israeli settlement activity on Palestinian land. He was shot in the chest in Nablus. The ministry said. Israel, which means to struggle with God, has stepped up raids and arrests across the West Bank after 4 attacks in Israel in the past 3 weeks that left 14 people dead, including a shooting last week in the center of Tel Aviv. So there you go. Israel stepping up their raids and arrest, right? I mean, they like fucking with Palestine, but a lot of times they don't just do it for no reason. Usually somebody over here, attacked them. So they said that there was 4 attacks in Israel in the last 3 weeks that had left 14 people dead. So 14 Israeli people have been killed and 5 Palestinian people have been killed. So in terms of just they said attrition, just attrition. You made them, you punished them. That was a punitive. That was the whole point. So the high body counts is attrition, right? So 14 people were killed, 5 people were killed. In a very crude way, right? The Palestinians have killed more, right? 14 to 5. 36 Palestinians have been killed by the Israelis since January, so that's only in the last couple weeks. But I guess in the bigger scheme of things, Israel's killed more Palestinians. They've killed 36 compared to Palestinians 14. So that's a lot more. That number includes Palestinians who have carried out attacks in Israel. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry said on Wednesday that it held Israel fully responsible for the repercussions of the military's actions. Spokesperson for President Mahmoud Abbas appealed for the international community to intervene. Last May, it spiraled into an 11-day assault on the besieged Gaza Strip. The war led to the deaths of 232 Palestinians as well as 12 Israelis and a significant destruction to the already impoverished territory. Last May, last year, God damn, he just got in there. And they're afraid that it's going to turn into another 11-day assault with 232 Palestinians. West Bank village of Hussan, members of the Gada Sabatines family welcomed a stream of mourners with bleary eyes. Sabatine is a 47-year-old widow, a mother of 6. She's a math teacher. She died from her wounds after she was shot in the legs by Israeli forces near a temporary military checkpoint in the village on Sunday after the Israeli army said that she didn't heed verbal warnings and ran towards them as they fired warning shots in the air. She was unarmed, according to the Israeli Defense Forces. God damn, but guess what? Gada Sabatine was mostly blind. Gada Sabatine was mostly blind, her family said. They believe that she ran towards the soldiers after she had heard the warning shots because she got confused and she panicked. She heard the warning shots. She ran towards the warning shots thinking that clearly it's not her that they're shooting at. She must run towards the people. Her children, including a 14-year-old Jamila, said she was a woman full of love and kindness who always tried to stay out of conflict. Full of love and kindness, tried to stay out of conflict. 47-year-old widow, a math teacher, mother of 6. That's who Israel need to fucking kill. That's who Israel need to fucking kill. Sabatine's family said that after she was shot, it took at least 15 minutes before anyone was allowed to approach her. By the time she reached the hospital, she had died from blood loss. She didn't die from her bullet wounds, but died from blood loss. Sabatine's aunt said they had a protocol, to give her medical aid, but apparently video from the scene showed a soldier working on Sabatine, her body shielded by pieces of cardboard for modesty reasons. The IDF said they're investigating the incident. When I saw the video of her getting shot, I felt emptiness. I felt that my soul left me. I wish it was me, Gada's son Mansour told CNN. Hamas will not stand idly by if Israeli settlers continue storming the Al-Aqsa Mosque, Qasem said, adding that Hamas backs Palestinian armed groups in Jenin. The resistance in Jenin is part of us. We will not allow it to harm our people. 5 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours amid operations by Israel to crack down on militants after a spate of deadly attacks on Israelis. Palestinians say 2 youths were killed in the northern occupied West Bank on Thursday during an Israeli raid. On Wednesday, a teenager and a lawyer were among the 3 shot dead elsewhere in the West Bank as tensions soared. Israeli forces stepped up operations after a Palestinian killed 3 Israelis in Tel Aviv last week. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said at the time the security forces have full freedom, complete and full freedom of action in order to defeat the terror. He didn't specify what he meant. A wave of attacks by Israeli Arabs and Palestinians in Israel in the past 3 weeks left 12 Israelis and 2 Ukrainians dead. Wow. 12 Israelis, 2 Ukrainians were killed by the Palestinians in the past 3 weeks. And then in the past 24 hours, 5 Palestinians have been killed. It's been one of the bloodiest periods of its kind for years, putting the country on edge. 20 Palestinians, many identified as gunmen, have been killed since then in Israeli sweeps in the West Bank. This is from before. They centered on the Jenin district. 2 of the Palestinians carried out attacks in Israel. That's where they came from. 2 Palestinian youths were killed there on Thursday morning in Jenin. Oh, the terrible city of Jenin, the Palestinian Health Ministry said. An Israeli army spokesperson said soldiers opened fire after being shot at and attacked with an improvised explosive devices, IEDs. Reuters News reported on Wednesday a 14-year-old Palestinian who Israel said had thrown a petrol bomb at soldiers was shot dead near Bethlehem. Another Palestinian, aged 20, was killed amid clashes near Ramallah where Israel said its forces arrested 3 Palestinians planning an attack against the Israelis. In the coming days, one of those arrested was a fugitive member of the militant group Hamas who was accused of shooting dead an Israeli in 2015 and had recently escaped from Palestinian custody. According to Israel, a 34-year-old Palestinian human rights lawyer who was driving his nephews to school was shot dead after stopping his car during clashes in Nablus. Palestinian officials said. The health ministry said Israeli troops had shot him in the chest. The Israeli military said soldiers entered Nablus to secure a site revered by the Jews as the tomb of Joseph so that it could be repaired after it was vandalized by Palestinians over the weekend. Said hundreds of Palestinians then began throwing rocks and petrol bombs, that the soldiers used riot dispersal measures and live rounds. The surge in violence comes ahead of a particularly volatile time when the start of the Jewish festival of Passover on Friday night coincided with the Islamic holy month of Ramadan and the Christian festival of Easter. Oh, that's why everybody's killing everybody. It's Passover and Ramadan and Easter. Hamas, who governs the Gaza Strip, and other militant groups have called for hundreds of thousands of Palestinians to converge on a contested Flashpoint hilltop compound in Jerusalem known to Muslims as Haram al-Sharif and Jews as the Temple Mount on Friday to protect it from Jewish activity. Passover traditionally sees an increase in visits by religious Jews to the site, which are viewed by Palestinians as provocative. So, Palestine, Israel, stop shooting each other, you pieces of shit. Fucking fuck. God damn, Israel, stop shooting Palestinians. Palestine, stop shooting Israel. It's a 2-state solution, so what the fuck? I don't even know. This has been out of hand for too goddamn long. The U.S. empire needs to use the full force of the empire to fix this situation. Fix Yemen, fix Palestine, and fix the Ukraine. Fuck.